Thank you, Speaker, and may I congratulate you on your election to the role and echo some of the comments made by other people. I'm, whilst very familiar with the 94A rulings you hand out, I also would attest to the fact that you are always fair and considered, and I look forward to working with you and maybe not exercising that rule as much this term. Before I lived in Maruka, where I currently lived, I used to live in Tarragindi in Selkell Street, and my drinking hole when I lived in Tarragindi was the Tarragindi Bowls Club. Now the residents of the tin and timber suburb of Tarragindi are very concerned about a development proposal for this bowls club. The Tarragindi Bowls Club was established in 1944. The main site was purchased from the owner, Albert Oates, for $150, with an additional strip of land to allow access to Andrew Avenue for $100. The purchase was sponsored by Mr Matthews of Matthews Real Estate, and both the Bowls Club and Matthews Real Estate are still going in operation some 72 years later. The Tarragindi Bowls Club is part of a wonderful suburban neighbourhood. Lots of Queenslanders, lots of character. It's a suburb that families have chosen to live in for the leafy streets and parklands and amenity. The people who live in suburbs like Tarragindi love living there because of the very character that you can see when driving through the streets. If they wanted to live in a high-density area with units, they would have chosen different suburbs, closer to the city perhaps, or around transport nodes. People like Deb, who hosted me for dinner in Tarragindi in the lead-up to the election, at that night, at that dinner party, it was the hot topic for the people of Tarragindi. So it's come as a great shock to Tarragindi residents that there is a proposal lodged with the Brisbane City Council to redevelop the site of the Tarragindi Bowls Club to provide accommodation for perhaps older Australians over 55. Providing suitable accommodation for older Australians is obviously a worthwhile aim. However, the accommodation needs to be suitable, needs to be appropriate, and appropriate for the residents of the area. Now, the Tarragindi is a tin and timber suburb, old Queenslanders. The apartment complex proposed to be built on the site of the Tarragindi Bowls Club is a 6-storey high building with 95 apartments. It's proposed to be built on land that is currently zoned for sports and recreation in an area of low to medium density housing. This does not fit that plan. It will forever change the character of Tarragindi. The residents of Tarragindi saw the Brisbane Lord Mayor, the LNP Lord Mayor, announce that he would slash development infrastructure charges for aged care accommodation by a third, and he'd consider in medium and high density locations, which is not Tarragindi, an additional 2 stories allowed for developments providing aged care accommodation, which is also not the proposal. And they consider proposals for aged care accommodation in privately owned sports and recreation zones, all proposals that seem to be geared for Tarragindi as far as I'm concerned. These changes will make it a very attractive proposition for developers to build aged care accommodation, and it will encourage these developers through their hip pockets to provide a boost in the availability of aged care accommodation. With an ageing population, I understand that concern, and it's a good idea to let people age in their residences, in their suburbs. But I'm worried that this is all about boosting the pockets of developers. That the local council is actually going to be taking stuff out of the pockets of developers. The council's concern should also be the welfare of those that live in the area. The Brisbane City Council elections were held in March this year, and the Liberal National Party councillor Krista Adams said that she opposed the redevelopment of the Tarragindi Bowls Club. However, after the election, in a recent letter to residents, Councillor Adams now says she does, inverted commas, not support the application in its current form. Councillor Adams was the chair of the former Brisbane Lord Mayor's task force into aged care and retirement living in 2009-10, and that task force made some recommendations. The residents of Tarragindi supported Councillor Adams when they voted in the election. Now she needs to support her residents. The reality is the councillor decides whether or not a project goes ahead. They can, if she is opposed to it, it will halt. In its current form, a 6-storey high monstrosity in this suburb of tin and timber will destroy the character of the area, and there are significant parking concerns because there won't be one car per unit. Some of the units are going to have 3 bedrooms. There'll be more cars spilling out onto the street. It is not an appropriate development for the suburb of Tarragindi, and I'd ask Councillor Krista Adams, to speak up for her residents.
The member